What's up, squad? Back with another video. I'm Recklezz.
Okay.
So we have the top 5 issues facing Black Americans. Now, this video, I seen this video and I was like, dang, like this video got to be a D video. You know, it got to have some, you know, it takes a real, legit, you know, creative, smart mindset to make a video like this. Because a lot of people don't really have the balls to make something like
to
this.
actually put out a video.
Facts,
So.
yeah, and get that, like, you know, because you know you're gonna have people that do exactly probably what he about to say that they do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what I'm saying. But you already know. Make sure y'all hit the like button, that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
What are the 5 biggest issues facing blacks in America? Here's my list. Problem number 5, the victim mentality. Nothing holds someone back more than seeing himself as a victim. Why? Because the victim is not responsible for his situation. Everything is someone else's fault. And the victim sees little chance of improving his life. How can he get ahead if someone is holding him back? All this makes the victim unhappy, frustrated, and angry. This is how too many blacks see themselves, as victims. So much so that
So not all blacks, but too many blacks. Damn.
this is how too many blacks see themselves, as victims. So much so that their victim status becomes their primary identity and their ruling ideology. I call it victimology. Unfortunately, many black churches preach this victimology. Many black parents pass it on to their children, inner city schools teach it to their students, and the black media reinforce it. Meanwhile, the NAACP and other black grievance groups fundraise on it. Problem number 4, lack of diversity.
Basically, you get that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, so because I'm black, I get the. Because I'm, you know what I'm saying? Damn.
Yeah.
I can see that, though. Especially with all the videos that I react to, that we react to together. Like, I can see, like, you know what I'm saying, what he's saying. And then there's a lot of groups and a lot of things that enable it and think it make people think that that's okay to do.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah.
And other black grievance groups fundraise on it. Problem number 4, lack of diversity. Blacks repeatedly demand an honest dialogue or debate about race. But how can there ever be an honest dialogue about race between blacks and whites when there is virtually no honest dialogue between blacks and blacks? It's hypocritical. And if a black doesn't think whites are ultimately responsible for black people's problems, they're labeled a sellout, Uncle Tom, or race traitor. As long as this type of groupthink exists, race reverence of the Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson type will continue to be celebrated, while independent black thinkers such as Professors Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams will be shunned. The honest race dialogue and debate that first has to happen is not between blacks and whites, but between blacks and blacks. We demand diversity from others, but need to practice it ourselves where it really matters, in thought, opinion, and even political affiliation. Problem number 3, urban terrorism. As just about everyone knows, but too few talk about publicly, in majority black cities, violent black-on-black crime is rampant. A Department of Justice study from 1980 through 2008 revealed that blacks accounted for almost half of the nation's homicide victims.
And that right there should tell everybody it all. Like, the fact that you can, like we was talking about yesterday, you can have this Black Lives Matter shit and have this going on, you know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, from 1980 to 2008, and you're gonna have that one person that say, oh, you looking at statistics, you know what I'm saying, 1980, 2008, what about now? It's 2023. But them be the same people that say, oh, well, slaves this and slaves that, and that's like, you can't be a hypocrite. You know what I'm saying? This is still now, like, it's still black on black crime of being like the homicide. It's still black on black. So when you say, oh, Black Lives Matter, and that same person is, you know what I'm saying, running up and down the street with this, you know what I'm saying, like I said, on their car, wearing a shirt, or sitting there going to protest like Black Lives Matter and black this and black that, and it's still people, that same person that's going out there and got beef with a black person that got, then that, you know what I'm saying, it just doesn't apply to, that type thing applies to everybody. And then as soon as somebody say that all lives matter, then it's like, oh, why is it? You know what I'm saying? So it's damn near like messed up.
47.4%. and more than half for the offenders, 52.4%, all while being 13% of America's population. The Tuskegee Institute conducted a study of all known lynchings of blacks that occurred between 1882 through 1968. During this 86-year span, which is essentially the post-Civil War era up to the Civil Rights era, 3,446 blacks were reportedly lynched. Presently, black-on-black murder eclipses the number of blacks lynched over the course of 80 years, roughly every 6 months. Unbelievably, the culpability for this disproportionate amount of mayhem actually lies with a menacing 2 to 3% minority within the black populace. I call them urban terrorists. And since they're literally spawned from problem number 2, the black community protects them. Problem number 2, proliferation of baby mamas. The disintegration of the nuclear family has led to an astronomical increase of single mother households. According to the Moynihan Report, in 1965, nearly 25% of black children were born to unwed mothers. The report's author, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, said this was a disaster in the making. He was, of course, vilified by so-called black leaders and their progressive allies. But he was right. Today, the out-of-wedlock birth rate is nearly 75% and even higher in some urban areas. To be clear, baby daddies share this responsibility with baby mamas. Yet, while baby daddies are blamed and rarely shown compassion, baby mamas are rarely blamed and receive both compassion and support. This lopsided dynamic and the previously listed pathologies stem directly from the number one problem facing the black community. Problem number 1.
I feel like regardless, like with that, like I know things can be real hard. We're going through a relationship and shit like that, but regardless however you put it, because I know it's a lot of people that watch, you know what I'm saying? I know me and Chris has been through some things. I know my parents have been through some things. My grandparents have been through some things. And all of that, like I understand that. But at the end of the day, you know who you got in bed with, you know you had a child with, so regardless, you break up, you stay together. Them kids are important regardless to however you put it.
Still number one.
The kids are important regardless to anything. They're important. And one thing that my nana has always, you know, taught me is the fact that you want to be there, you know what I'm saying, for your kids, regardless. They only know what they taught. And if you want your kid to be taught, you know what I'm saying, to right and be positive and this and that, I mean, you gotta be in their life. I mean, regardless, somebody, like I always say, people watching me now that's not in their kid's life, I understand if you really can't be. I know things can be hard. Yeah, some people really can't be. But at the same time, like if you can, then you like be in your kid's life. I feel like that shit is serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's...
Yeah, for real. They need their parents, regardless. It's one thing to seeing them together. It's a beautiful thing. But if you can't, you still need...
So you still need to be there for your
facts.
Unquestioning allegiance to so-called progressive policies. Unwavering loyalty to progressive liberal policies is the primary reason these dire conditions persist. It both makes them possible and perpetuates them. It's no coincidence that progressivism is the common thread that binds predominantly black cities where single-parent homes, failing schools, rampant poverty, and crime predominate. Look at cities like Detroit, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. They've been run by progressive Democrats for decades. If their liberal policies were at all effective, these cities should have become models of economic growth and prosperity. Instead, they're models of dysfunction. By fostering and exploiting the victim mentality, discouraging self-examination, subsidizing baby mamas, and making excuses for black thugs, so-called progressive policies don't alleviate the problems that afflict the black community, they aggravate those problems. You may have noticed that racism did not make the list. Why not? It's simple. There will be no solution to the problems afflicting black America until more blacks recognize that the issues plaguing our community are ultimately self-inflicted. Does racism exist? Sure, but there are other problems far more serious. And waiting until there are no more races will mean waiting and making excuses forever. I'm Talib Starks.
I feel like regardless, like what he's trying to say though at the end is the fact that regardless of, you can't fix this problem if you can't fix these problems.
Yeah.
It's like you had this big problem, but you had these small little itty bitty problems that you got to fix to get to that problem.
And if not, it's just gonna be a circle.
Yeah, you're gonna be in the cycle. That's just what it is. Sad. You know what I'm saying?
Sadly, but yeah.
Facts. But definitely appreciate y'all tuning in and watching this reaction. Definitely much love to everybody. Make sure y'all comment down on the next video you want us to check out. Definitely will. Catch y'all next one.